Imagine telling a Fortune 500 CEO that their most important boardroom partner isn't, a major shareholder or a massive venture capitalist.
Right.
It's actually a god. And if they don't immediately resolve all their petty office drama, the universe is literally going to fry their company's circuitry.
I mean, they'd probably just call security and have you escorted out of the building.
Yeah, pretty much.
But if you look at the architecture of the universe through certain ancient Eastern frameworks, that bizarre boardroom scenario is, well, it's actually the literal operating system of reality.
Welcome to today's deep dive. For those of you listening, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by just the sheer volume of data, the division, the chaos in the modern world today is all about finding a cosmic cheat sheet.
Exactly. We're looking at some incredible source material today. It's a highly detailed lecture transcript exploring Eastern philosophy, specifically the teachings of Daisen Jinrikyo, alongside some academic research on yin-yang and the five elements.
Right. And to be clear, we are bypassing the theology here. We're looking at this as a mind-bending philosophical framework for understanding the macrostructure of the universe.
Yeah, we're exploring the actual mechanics of reality. We're going to get into this concept of God-human harmony and look at why resolving your personal grievances might actually be a structural requirement for the survival of the cosmos.
Which is wild to think about, but to understand that macrostructure, the text insists we have to start at the absolute bottom, right? Like the smallest foundational mechanism of existence.
Yeah, the source begins with this concept called taigak, or taiji. It basically translates to the supreme ultimate.
The supreme ultimate.
Right. You could think of it as the original unified source of everything. Before there was an up or a down or, hot or cold, there was just this infinite, undifferentiated potential.
Like a tightly coiled spring right before it's released.
That's a great way to picture it. But reality, as we experience it, isn't undifferentiated. It's full of distinct things. So that taigak splits.
Right. It differentiates into the fundamental binary of yin and yang. And the text maps this out so systematically.
It really does. It categorizes heaven, the sun, and humans as yang. These are the elements that are visible. They project energy outward, they take physical action.
And then Earth, the moon, and gods or spirits are categorized as yin. They represent the foundation, the invisible structures, or like the hidden intent behind things.
Exactly. But the source doesn't just hand us a static list of what's yin and what's yang. It dives really deep into the mechanical laws that actually govern how these forces interact.
Which brings us to the first law the text introduces, which is musang. And that translates to impermanence.
Right. Musang dictates that a static state is mechanically impossible in this universe. Like, if energy actually stops moving, the whole universe just collapses.
So it's not just some poetic observation that, things change over time.
No, not at all. It's a hard, structural law. Every single element in existence is in a mandatory, constant state of flux. It's always converting from one state to another.
Which feeds directly into the second core law, right? Yuheng.
Yes, Yuhong. This originally referred to the flow of time and the changing of the seasons.
Let's look at the mechanism of those seasons for a second. Summer doesn't just randomly decide to turn into autumn. Summer is peak yang. It's explosive. It's outward visible growth.
But as that yang expands to its absolute maximum limit, it kind of exhausts its outward trajectory.
Right.
And mechanically, that triggers the birth of yin.
Right, the contraction.
Exactly. Contraction, cooling, moving inward toward winter. The push and pull of these forces, that literally is the engine that creates time.
It's fascinating. But then we get to the third law, and this is the one the text emphasizes way above all the others. It's called Dai-Dai.
Dai-Dai. It translates to inseparable pairs. And the speaker in the lecture makes this really vital distinction to clarify how Dai-Dai actually functions. They contrast a couple with a pair.
I love this part because if, say, two people are dating, they're a couple, they enjoy being together, they influence each other, but if they break up...
They still exist.
Right. They still exist as individual human beings. They have independent viability. But Dai-Dai is not a couple. It is a pair.
Like a pair of chopsticks.
Exactly. If you lose one chopstick, the remaining one completely ceases to function as a chopstick. You can't, eat a bowl of soup or noodles with one wooden stick. It loses its entire identity.
Another way to visualize Dai-Dai is with a standard bar magnet. You have a north and a south pole. You might think, oh, I just want the North Pole, so you snap the magnet in half.
But you don't isolate the North Pole. The moment it snaps, the newly exposed end instantly becomes a South Pole.
Exactly. You just end up with two smaller magnets.
You literally cannot engineer a lone wolf in this framework. Yin and yang are fundamentally interdependent. The visible cannot exist without the invisible.
Action cannot exist without intent. But here's the problem. If every single atom, every thought, every physical structure is made of these infinite, inseparable yin-yang pairs, mapping reality becomes impossible.
Right, you'd completely lose your mind trying to analyze the universe one tiny micro-interaction at a time.
The text totally acknowledges this bottleneck, and it proposes a specific cognitive shift to fix it. It contrasts two perspectives, Gaian and Guan.
Okay, so Gaian translates to looking closely. It's the micro perspective, like putting a single leaf under a microscope to study its cellular structure.
It's highly specialized, incredibly detailed, but deeply focused on the tiny, specific components of a thing.
And modern society basically runs entirely on Gaian.
Oh, absolutely. We specialize in our careers. We divide academic disciplines into smaller and smaller subfields. We focus on the minute details of every single political issue.
But the source argues that while Gaian is great for specific tasks, it is completely useless for understanding the universe as a whole system. For that, you need Guan.
Guan is the macro perspective. It's stepping back from the microscope, walking out of the lab, getting into a hot air balloon, and looking at the entire forest ecosystem from like 10,000 feet up.
The lecture uses this brilliant example to illustrate how different these mindsets are using addresses.
Oh, right, the address analogy.
Yeah. So in the West, which represents the Gaian mindset of dividing and specifying, an address starts at the micro level. You write the person's name, then the specific house number, the street, the city, and finally, the massive category of the country.
You're building reality from the bottom up.
Exactly. But in the East, representing the Guan mindset, an address does the exact opposite. You start with the massive overarching reality first, the country.
Then the province, the city, the street, and finally you narrow it all down to the individual.
So applying that Guan perspective to our cosmic cheat sheet, the text zooms all the way out to identify what it calls the three massive yin-yang categories.
And if you understand these three ultimate pairs, you basically grasp the framework of the entire universe.
Let's hit the first one. The first massive category is heaven and earth. This represents the ultimate physical container, the raw space of the macro-universe.
Right, heaven is the yang, the vast, overarching expanse. Earth is the yin, the solid, receptive foundation.
And the second massive category is the sun and the moon. If heaven and earth are the container of space, the sun and the moon are the drivers of time.
They're the ultimate engines of that Yu-Hang law we talked about earlier, creating the seasons, the days, the cycles of existence.
Okay, I have to pause here, though, because the text claims heaven and earth and the sun and moon are currently engaging in yin-yang harmony to keep physical reality functioning.
Yeah, that's what it says.
But if I turn on the news, I see, catastrophic earthquakes, tsunamis leveling coastlines, climate systems completely destabilizing. That doesn't really look like harmony to me. It looks like the container is cracking.
That's a totally fair point.
Yeah.
But the text actually addresses that exact contradiction. The speaker in the lecture clarifies that the current harmony of the physical universe is imperfect.
Imperfect.
Yeah. The interaction between space and time is an ongoing evolutionary process. It's not a finished, flawless product yet.
Oh, I see.
The universe is still actively working out its contradictions, which is why we experience natural disasters and physical chaos.
So the system just isn't finished yet.
Exactly. And the imperfection of those first two categories, space and time, creates the absolute necessity for the third massive yin-yang category.
The mechanism designed to manage the chaos.
Right. The third category is God and human.
And the text calls this concept Shinin Joa, which translates directly to God-human harmony.
Yes, and this completely shatters traditional Western paradigms of spirituality. Because in most standard theological frameworks, the relationship between humanity and the divine is strictly hierarchical.
Right. God sits at the top of the pyramid, issues commandments, and humans sit at the bottom and subserviently obey. The divine realm operates totally independently of us.
But this source presents a radically different architecture. Under the law of day-day, that inseparable pair gods and humans are not a hierarchy. They are horizontal partners.
The text actually argues that historically, humanity has completely failed to realize that we are supposed to be co-managing the universe with the divine.
Let's break down the mechanics of that partnership for a second. Why is humanity categorized as the yang here and God as the yin?
Well, humans are yang because we possess physical agency. We have bodies, we exist in the visible material world, we can pick up tools, move objects, and take direct, observable action.
And gods, or the spiritual realm, are yin because they're invisible. They exist as the underlying energy, the structural intent, the consciousness behind reality.
I think of it like constructing a skyscraper. The gods possess the architectural blueprint. That's the yin, the hidden intent. Humans are the construction workers on the ground with the cranes and the hammers. That's the yang, the physical action.
That's a perfect analogy. Because if the architect has a perfect blueprint but no construction crew, the building exists only as an idea. It never actually becomes real.
And on the flip side, if the construction crew has all the tools but no blueprint, they just haphazardly bolt steel beams together until the whole structure collapses on itself.
Right. The universe literally cannot reach its ultimate perfected state without both halves of that day-to-day functioning in absolute tandem.
So Shinjawa describes this future evolved era where the invisible and the visible realms operate as equal partners at the cosmic boardroom table.
Discussing and actively managing the events happening inside the space and time of the universe.
Okay, so heaven and earth provide the space, the sun and moon provide the time, gods and humans manage what actually happens on the clock and in the room.
Basically.
But if we look around today, there's clearly no harmony between the blueprint and the builders. We are currently failing at this management job on a spectacular level. Does the text diagnose why humanity is so utterly dysfunctional right now?
It does. The diagnosis is basically a crisis of hyperdivision. The source states that humanity is currently suffering from like a spiritual schizophrenia.
Spiritual schizophrenia.
Yeah, because we are entirely trapped in that Gaian perspective. We've spent the last few centuries slicing reality into infinitely smaller, increasingly hostile microcategories based on race, religion, gender, politics, ideology, you name it.
To explain why this division is suddenly so toxic, the text goes back to the metaphor of cosmic time. It argues the universe operates in massive, epical seasons.
Right, and it says we have just spent millennia in a cosmic summer. Summer is the season of explosive growth, spreading out, and differentiation.
So during summer, the universe actually wanted us to divide and specialize so we could explore every possible variation of existence.
Exactly. But the crisis we are experiencing right now is the violent transition from cosmic summer into cosmic autumn.
And the laws of the seasons dictate that what works in summer is fatal in autumn. Autumn is the season of the harvest. It requires gathering, consolidation, integration.
So if you try to run the aggressive, dividing logic of summer during the integrating season of autumn, you literally tear the entire system apart.
The universe is trying to pull everything together into unity, and humanity is stubbornly digging trenches and trying to split things further apart.
To illustrate how we survive this transition, the source uses two really striking analogies. The first one is ancient. It's the traditional Korean rice steamer, or siro.
Right, so if you want to make a cohesive rice cake, you can't just pile up whole, hard, individual grains of rice. They won't stick together.
First, they get ground down into scattered, broken flour, which kind of represents our current divided, fractured society.
And to turn that broken flour into something whole, you place it inside the siro. The intense heat and permeating moisture of the steamer just melt all those disparate, isolated particles together into one unified, solid structure.
It's a beautiful metaphor. But the second analogy jumps thousands of years forward into modern technology, and it involves the semiconductor.
Oh, this part blew my mind. The text points out that there is a deep philosophical reason why semiconductors rule the global economy today.
People often misunderstand the word semiconductor. They think semi just means it's like a weak or halfway decent conductor of electricity.
But the brilliance of a semiconductor is its architecture. It relies on a gate, a transistor mechanism. Based on the voltage applied to that gate, a semiconductor can function as an absolute conductor, letting energy flow freely, or an absolute non-conductor, completely blocking the energy.
It holds the extreme yin, which is blocking, and the extreme yang, which is flowing, simultaneously.
It doesn't permanently commit to one rigid state.
Exactly. It integrates both possibilities and responds to the needs of the whole system. The text even draws a fascinating parallel to the geopolitics of the Korean Peninsula.
Right, being divided into a rigid north representing yin and a south representing yang.
Yeah, it suggests that the profound cultural pressure of holding these intense dualities is exactly what primed that specific geographical region to become the global hub for manufacturing the ultimate tool of integration, the semiconductor.
It's so interesting to look at it through that lens. Let's apply that mechanical logic to human behavior, though, because humans are the gate in the cosmic circuitry.
We are.
So if you're someone who obsessively fuels arguments, like if you spend your life entrenched in toxic political debates demanding everyone pick a rigid side, refusing to see the humanity in the opposition, you are basically a broken transistor.
You've permanently jammed your gate closed. You've lost the ability to hold both the conductor and the non-conductor states. You can no longer pass the current.
And when a component in a circuit board breaks and refuses to pass the current, the engineer doesn't sit there and negotiate with it. The engineer simply bypasses it or removes it to save the rest of the machine.
The universe, entering this cosmic autumn of integration, will just bypass the broken, divided elements.
Which brings us to the ultimate practical mechanism for fixing our broken gates. The text introduces the concept of Huan-Sang-Sang.
He-Wan-Seng-Seng. It translates to resolving grievances for mutual life.
It's the core operational mandate for surviving the transition into autumn.
In most, self-help or modern therapeutic contexts, letting go of a grudge is presented as just a nice thing to do for your own mental health. Like it lowers your blood pressure.
But the text frames it entirely differently. Resolving a grievance isn't just a moral suggestion. It is a structural, mechanical requirement for the universe to function.
Because holding a grudge is the ultimate act of Gaian. It is a hyper-localized micro-focus on a past injury that permanently separates you from another person.
The text states explicitly that maintaining grudges or actively causing division is now considered going against heaven. You are physically swimming against the integrating current of the cosmos.
Let's tie this back to the boardroom for a second, back to Shinin Joa. The gods, the yin, possess the blueprint for a perfected reality. Humanity, the yang, has the tools to build it.
Right.
But the invisible yin absolutely refuses to partner with a toxic, divided, grievance-hoarding visible yang.
The divine realm cannot interface with a broken semiconductor.
Exactly. If humanity continues to choose division, the gods will simply withhold the blueprint and the co-management of the universe completely fails.
Therefore, actively practicing Huan-Sang-Sang, doing the agonizingly difficult work of resolving grievances, forgiving injuries, and choosing mutual survival over individual vindication is the mandatory prerequisite for humanity to take its seat at the table.
It's heavy stuff. Let's step back and look at the whole blueprint we've just mapped out today.
We started with the Taeguk splitting into the fundamental engines of yin and yang. We saw how the law of Day proves there are no isolated elements in reality. Everything is an inseparable pair.
And then we zoomed out using the Guan perspective to identify the three massive categories: space, time, and management.
Heaven and earth, sun and moon, God and human.
Right. And we discovered that because the physical universe is still imperfect, the cosmos desperately needs its managers, the invisible intent of the divine and the physical action of humanity, to synthesize and guide reality through this insanely dangerous transition.
Moving from the division of summer into the integration of autumn.
And the ultimate tool for that integration is Huan-Sang-Sang.
We have to act like the steamer melting the broken flour. We have to actively choose to dissolve the boundaries of our grievances to build a functional circuit.
It's profound.
It really is. And it leaves you with this powerful realization about the world we interact with every single day. Just look at our digital landscape. Look at the devices in our pockets right now.
Yeah.
The algorithms powering social media are literally the most sophisticated engines of Gaian ever created by human beings. They are mathematically engineered to slice us into ever smaller, increasingly furious microcategories.
They harvest our attention by manufacturing endless petty grievances.
They monetize our inability to integrate. They profit by keeping the gate jammed closed.
So in an era where billions of dollars are spent writing code designed to pull us apart, practicing Huan-Sang-Sang takes on a whole new weight.
It does. Choosing to let go of a digital grievance, refusing to participate in the outrage machine, and forcing yourself to use Guan to see the complete humanity of the person across from you, that isn't just a quaint moral choice anymore.
No, it's not.
In the architecture of this philosophy, it might be the most radical, rebellious act of cosmic integration you can possibly perform.
It completely redefines what it means to fix the machine.
It really does. You aren't just repairing your own peace of mind. You are repairing the circuitry of the universe, one resolved grievance at a time.